What if I told you that we lost the Cold War? That before we beat the Soviets, the Ruskies dropped a slow-releasing time bomb in the United States, and it would destroy us from the inside out. But it wasn't a nuke. It was psychological warfare.
And is a slow process, which we call either ideological subversion or active measures, to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Why that many years? Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate one generation of students in the country of your enemy, exposed to the ideology of the enemy. In other words, Marxism-Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students without being challenged or counterbalanced by the basic values of Americanism, American patriotism.
That was Yuri Bezmenov, a former KGB informant and Soviet defector, who told us all back in, what was it, 84, that it was already too late. The commie mind virus was already loose, and America's well on the way towards national decay. He called it the 4 stages of ideological subversion, basically a roadmap for tricking enemy nations into committing cultural suicide. Step 1, as you heard him explain, demoralization. Teach the kids to hate America, fill their minds with cultural Marxism, just slowly chip away at patriotism and family values. Does that sound familiar? So what's step 2?
The next stage is destabilization. This time, subverter does not care about your ideas and the patterns of your consumption. Whether you eat junk food and get fat and flabby, doesn't matter anymore. This time, and it takes only from 2 to 5 years to destabilize a nation. And you can see it quite clearly that in some areas, in such sensitive areas as defense and economy, the influence of Marxist-Leninist ideas in the United States is absolutely fantastic.
So who's destabilizing us? Are there thousands of Soviet sleeper cells still operating here? Not really. We're doing it ourselves.
Most of it is done by Americans to Americans, thanks to lack of moral standards. Your leftists in United States, all these professors and all these beautiful civil rights defenders, they are instrumental in the process of the subversion only to destabilize the nation.
So all of this was before the internet, where you could only brainwash people face to face, but now you have social media. It's like pouring gas on the fire. So what's the end goal of all of this? Steps 3 and 4, crisis and normalization. You make us fat, ignorant, angry, divided, too lazy to take responsibility for the well-being of ourselves and the nation. And then you consolidate all the power in a federal government that's just happy to bribe us into submission.
This is what will happen in the United States if you allow all these schmucks to bring the country to crisis, to promise people all kind of goodies and the paradise on earth, to destabilize your economy, to eliminate the principle of free market competition, and to put a big brother government in Washington, D.C.
So what's next? How do we turn the tide and fight back against this ridiculous revolution? Or is it too late? Carol Markovits escaped from the Soviet Union, and she's the author of Stolen Youth. So this is insane. Is this happening right now?
Absolutely. So what Bezmenov is describing is how Marxist-Leninist philosophy is spread throughout the country. And I was shocked to discover when we were writing our book that teachers' colleges are using Marxist textbooks to teach the teachers. If you told me that before we started writing our book, I think I would have said, oh, that's a conspiracy theory. But no, that's really happening. And then those teachers disperse through the country to teach our kids. Bezmenov wasn't exactly right about America because he was talking about this in 1984, and he said America had already been ideologically captured. We're a strong country. We have strong ideals. And that same year, Reagan, of course, would win a 49-state landslide. But he was right about how the left does not give up until they have forced their ideology on the rest of us. And in the last few decades, they've marched through our institutions, organizations, companies, and government agencies. And so Bezmenov was only wrong on his timing. It's happening right now.
So these radical activists, these professors, these agitators, Do they know that they're basically puppets of Soviet Marxists, or do they? I mean, that's what they're doing, and he just admitted it. The KGB guy.
Right. I don't think that they know that they're puppets, but look, leftists have forced conformity through cultural revolutions before. The difference in America today is that you're not risking being sent to a work camp or prison for disagreeing. Right now you risk, social ostracization, but some negative comments on social media, but it's already moving in the direction of your job being targeted if you step out of line. So we have to stop it now or it spirals and causes real damage. Do they know they're causing a cultural revolution? I think that they do.
So what's the end goal of the revolution? The destruction of the United States? Is there anything they're replacing it with?
Well, the leftist dream, right? It's the communist, socialist, leftist dream that they're going to replace everything with. And our book is about how they target the children. That's why we call it stolen youth, because they're doing it to the kids. And that's what's happened in revolutions in the past. They always try to separate the family first, get to the children, brainwash the children, and then the children are damaged for life and will accept any of their bad ideas. Again, I think what makes America unique is that we have such a strong history and story, and, we're the country that's a beacon of freedom and liberty in the world, and we still are today. And I think that that's really hard for them to beat, but they're trying, and if you let them get access to our children, that's what's going to happen.
We have to tell that story everywhere to everybody in a much more powerful way, and we're not doing that. We're afraid to do it, and that's a big problem. Carol, thank you so much. Everybody go check out her book.
Thank you, Jesse.